Debt Like the Rich, written and published by Rich Audiobooks. So what if everything you've been taught about debt is wrong? What if the very beliefs that keep you awake at night, worried about credit card balances and mortgage payments, are actually the barriers standing between you and real wealth? While you've been programmed to fear debt like a dangerous disease, the world's wealthiest people have been quietly using it as their most powerful tool for building fortunes. Right now, as you read these words, billionaires are taking on millions in debt to buy assets that will make them even richer. Successful entrepreneurs are leveraging borrowed money to build business empires. Real estate moguls are using bank loans to control properties worth hundreds of times their initial investment. They're not doing this recklessly. They're following a proven playbook that turns debt from a burden into a wealth accelerator. The harsh truth is that your fear of debt isn't protecting you, it's imprisoning you. Every month you work overtime to pay off loans early. Every dollar you save instead of investing, every opportunity you pass up because it requires borrowing money, you're actually moving further away from financial freedom. The middle class has been conditioned to run from debt while the wealthy run toward it, creating an ever-widening gap between those who understand money and those who simply work for it. This book will shatter everything you think you know about debt and replace it with the strategies that actually create wealth. You'll discover why Walt Disney mortgaged everything to build his empire, how banks make billions by doing the exact opposite of what they tell you to do, and why paying off your mortgage early might be the worst financial decision you ever make. More importantly, you'll learn to think like the wealthy think, seeing debt not as a burden to escape, but as a tool to master. The choice is yours. Continue believing the lies that keep you trapped in financial mediocrity, or learn the debt secrets that can transform your financial future forever. Lesson 1. Shift the shame. Debt is not the enemy. Most of us grew up hearing that debt was dangerous, irresponsible, and something to avoid at all costs. Our parents warned us about credit cards like they were poison. Teachers told stories about people who lost everything because they borrowed too much. Even our friends brag about being debt-free as if it's the ultimate financial achievement. This fear of debt runs so deep in our culture that it feels almost like a moral issue, as if owing money makes you a bad person. But here's what nobody told us. The wealthy see debt completely differently. While the middle class runs from debt, the rich run toward it, not recklessly, but strategically. They understand that debt isn't inherently good or bad. It's simply a tool, like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a beautiful house or to break a window. The outcome depends entirely on how you use it. Think about it this way. Every major company in the world uses debt to grow. Apple, despite having billions in cash, still borrows money. Real estate investors build massive portfolios using mostly borrowed money. Even banks, the very institutions that lend us money, operate almost entirely on debt. They borrow from one source at a low rate and lend it to others at a higher rate. That's their whole business model. The shame around debt comes from confusing consumer debt with investment debt. When you borrow money to buy things that lose value, like clothes, cars, or vacations, that's consumer debt. It's the kind of debt that keeps you poor. But when you borrow money to buy things that grow in value or generate income, like rental properties, businesses, or investments, that's investment debt. This type of debt can actually make you wealthy. Your relationship with debt probably started forming before you could even count money. Maybe you watched your parents struggle with bills or heard relatives talk about the stress of mortgage payments. These early experiences created emotional patterns that still influence how you think about borrowing money today. But just because these beliefs are deep-rooted doesn't mean they're helpful or true. Shifting away from debt shame starts with understanding a simple truth. The world's wealthiest people and companies use debt every single day to build their fortunes. They don't feel guilty about it. They don't lose sleep over it. They see it as a normal, necessary part of creating wealth. When used correctly, debt becomes a powerful force multiplier that can turn small amounts of money into significant wealth. This doesn't mean you should rush out and start borrowing money for everything. Instead, it means learning to see debt as a neutral tool that can either help or hurt you depending on how you use it. It means stopping the automatic emotional reaction that makes you feel guilty or anxious about owing money. It means starting to ask better questions like, how can this debt make me money, instead of just, how quickly can I pay this off? The rich have learned to separate emotions from economics when it comes to debt. They don't make borrowing decisions based on fear, shame. They make them based on numbers and opportunities. They know that while consumer debt can trap you in poverty, strategic debt can launch you toward wealth. Your journey to building real wealth starts with this fundamental mindset shift. Debt isn't your enemy. It's one of the most powerful tools you have for creating the financial future you want. Lesson 2. The rich don't fear debt. They master it. The wealthy see debt differently than most people. While others run from debt, the rich run toward it, but with a plan. Think of debt like a powerful tool, like a chainsaw. In untrained hands, it's dangerous, but with skill and respect, it becomes incredibly useful. Take Walt Disney, for example. He borrowed against everything he owned to build Disneyland when no one believed in his vision. The banks said no, but he kept pushing until he found ways to make his dream real through debt. Today, that debt-fueled dream brings joy to millions and generates billions in revenue. Walt didn't let fear stop him. He learned to use debt as a tool for creating something amazing. Rich people understand that debt is neither good nor bad on its own. It's neutral, like electricity. You can use electricity to light up a city or hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing. The wealthy spend time learning how debt works, just like an electrician learns about working with power safely. They study interest rates, terms, and timing. They know when to borrow, how much to borrow, and most importantly, why they're borrowing. The emotional side of handling debt is just as important as the numbers. Rich people stay calm when using debt because they've built their confidence through knowledge and small wins. They start with small, calculated risks and grow from there. Instead of panicking about monthly payments, they focus on how the debt can make them money. This calm confidence comes from practice, not from being born special or lucky. Looking at your own feelings about debt is a crucial first step. Do you feel nervous when you think about borrowing money? That's normal, but it's also holding you back. Start shifting those feelings by learning from successful people who use debt well. Read their stories, study their strategies, and notice how they stay focused on opportunities instead of fear. The rich also know that not all debt needs to be paid off quickly. Sometimes holding debt makes more sense than paying it off, especially when that money can make more elsewhere. If you can borrow at 4% but make 8% by investing that money, you're thinking like the wealthy. They do the math and make decisions based on numbers, not emotions or what others might think. To master debt like the rich, start seeing yourself as a business owner rather than a consumer. Businesses use debt to grow all the time. It's normal in their world. They take out loans to buy equipment that makes them money, expand into new markets, or grab opportunities before competitors can. This is exactly how wealthy people think, too. They ask, how can this debt make me richer, instead of, how quickly can I pay this off? You can begin thinking this way today. Look at your current debts and ask yourself what they're doing for you. Are they helping you build wealth or just costing you money? Make a plan to shift any unproductive debt into investments that pay you back. Start small, learn as you go, and build your confidence step by step. The rich weren't born knowing how to master debt. They learned it, and so can you. Mastering debt isn't about taking on as much as possible. It's about being strategic and smart. The rich use debt with purpose, always with a clear plan for how that money will grow their wealth. They know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it. By following their example and building your own debt mastery skills, you can start using this powerful tool to create wealth just like they do. Lesson 3. Good debt versus bad debt. Know the difference. Not all debt is created equal. The rich understand this deeply, which is why they never lump all debt into one scary category. Instead, they look at debt like a chef looks at ingredients. Some make the meal better, while others can ruin the whole dish. Good debt puts money in your pocket. It's that simple. When you borrow money to buy something that will grow in value or generate income, you're using good debt. Think about borrowing money to buy a rental property. Every month, your tenants pay rent that covers the mortgage and puts extra cash in your pocket. The property itself usually grows in value over time. That's good debt at work. Bad debt takes money out of your pocket. This happens when you borrow money to buy things that lose value or don't generate income. Credit card debt used for vacations, fancy clothes, or dining out is bad debt. These things might bring temporary joy, but they don't help build wealth. In fact, they do the opposite by draining your resources through high interest payments. The cash flow test is an easy way to spot the difference. Ask yourself, will this debt help me make more money than it costs? If yes, it's probably good debt. If no, it's likely bad debt. A business loan that helps you expand and increase profits? Good debt. A car loan for a luxury vehicle that costs more than you can comfortably afford? Bad debt. Smart investors often use good debt to turn around bad situations. Let's say you have high-interest credit card debt. Taking out a lower-interest home equity loan to pay off those cards could transform bad debt into better debt. The key is using the saved money to invest or build wealth, not to rack up more consumer debt. Many people get stuck in bad debt because they don't understand how to use good debt. They might avoid all debt out of fear, missing opportunities to build wealth. Or they might use debt carelessly, digging themselves into a deeper hole. The rich know better. They use debt strategically, always asking whether it will help them grow their wealth. Your friends and family might not understand when you take on debt to buy income-producing assets. They might worry when you get a business loan or invest in real estate. This happens because most people see all debt as dangerous. You can explain the difference by showing them the numbers. Show how rental income covers the mortgage and puts extra money in your pocket. Share how a business loan helps you earn more than you borrowed. Starting today, look at every debt opportunity through this lens. Before borrowing money, ask yourself if it will help you build wealth or drain your resources. Choose debt that makes you money, not debt that costs you money. This simple shift in thinking can change your financial future. The rich use debt as a tool to build wealth because they understand this crucial difference. They avoid bad debt like the plague, while actively seeking good debt opportunities. They know that the right kind of debt, used wisely, can help create financial freedom faster than saving alone ever could. Remember, you're not looking for ways to avoid debt completely. You're learning to use it wisely, like any other financial tool. When you master the difference between good and bad debt, you start seeing opportunities where others see only risk. This is how the wealthy think about debt, and now you can too. Lesson 4. Leverage over labor. How the rich use other people's money. The rich have a secret that transforms how they build wealth. They rarely use their own money. Instead, they master the art of using other people's money, also known as leverage. Think of leverage like a seesaw at the playground. With just a small amount of weight on one end, you can lift something much heavier on the other end. That's exactly how the wealthy use small amounts of their own cash to control valuable assets worth much more. Let's say you want to buy a $100,000 0-cents rental property. Most people think they need to save up the full amount first, but the wealthy know better. They might put down just $20,000 0 cents and borrow the other $80,000 0 cents from a bank. Now they control a $100,000 0 cents asset with only $20,000 0 cents of their own money. When that property goes up in value or generates rental income, they get all the benefits as if they had paid the full price themselves. This same principle works in business too. Many successful business owners started with just a small loan or credit card. They used that borrowed money to buy inventory, equipment, or hire help. Those resources then generated enough profit to pay back the loan and create ongoing income. The key is that they didn't wait until they had saved up everything they needed. The wealthy understand that their own labor, trading time for money at a job, can only take them so far. There are only so many hours in a day to work. But when you use other people's money, you can control assets that work for you 24/7. A rental property collects rent while you sleep. A business can serve customers even when you're on vacation. The profits from those leveraged assets then give you more money to control even more assets. Getting started with leverage doesn't require huge amounts of money. You might begin by using a zero-interest credit card to buy products you can resell for a profit. Or you could take out a small business loan to buy equipment that lets you start a side business. The key is looking for opportunities where borrowed money can generate more value than it costs. Of course, using other people's money comes with responsibility. The wealthy are careful to only use leverage when the numbers make sense. They make sure any borrowed money goes toward assets that can generate enough cash to cover the loan payments and still create profit. They also keep emergency reserves and never risk more than they can afford to lose. The real power comes from combining leverage with time. When you use other people's money to buy assets that appreciate or produce income, you're essentially borrowing the time value of that money too. Instead of spending years saving up the full amount, you can start building wealth much sooner. Those extra years of compound growth can make an enormous difference in your long-term wealth. Start thinking like the wealthy do about leverage. Look for ways to responsibly use other people's money to control income-producing assets. Focus on opportunities where small amounts of your own cash can control much larger assets. Your own labor has limits, but leverage can help you build wealth far beyond what you could earn from just working harder. The rich know that the path to wealth isn't through trading time for money. It's through smart use of leverage. Lesson 5. Assets pay off debt, not your salary. Most people try to pay off their debts using their monthly paycheck, but this keeps them stuck in an endless cycle. The rich know a powerful secret. Let assets do the heavy lifting instead of your salary. Think of it like having employees who work for you around the clock, sending money your way while you sleep. When you use your salary to pay debts, you're trading your limited time and energy for money. There are only so many hours you can work, which means there's a cap on how much debt you can pay off. But assets can work 24/7, creating cash flow that handles your debt payments automatically. This is how wealthy people stay wealthy. They put their money into things that make more money. Starting small is key. You don't need millions to begin building assets that pay your debts. Maybe you buy a vending machine that generates $200.00 monthly, enough to cover a car payment. Or perhaps you invest in a dividend-paying stock that sends you $100.00 each month to handle a credit card bill. The important part is breaking free from depending only on your job income. Real estate is a classic example of using assets to pay debt. When you buy a rental property with a mortgage, your tenant's rent check covers the loan payment, property taxes, and maintenance costs. Over time, the property goes up in value, while your tenant pays down your debt. This is why so many wealthy people love real estate. It creates cash flow while building equity. But magic happens when you start stacking these debt-paying assets. One rental property becomes 2, then 3. A small online business grows into multiple income streams. Your investment portfolio expands to generate more dividends. Each new asset takes over another debt payment, freeing up your salary for building even more assets. This creates a snowball effect that can transform your financial life. Here's the mindset shift. Stop asking, how can I earn more to pay these debts? And start asking, what assets can I build to handle these payments? This changes everything about how you view money and debt. Instead of working harder at your job, you focus on acquiring or creating things that generate income without your direct effort. Digital assets are becoming increasingly popular for this strategy. An online course, ebook, or membership site can bring in steady monthly income to cover debt payments. Unlike physical assets, these can be created once and sold repeatedly with very low ongoing costs. The rich are always looking for these kinds of scalable assets that don't require trading time for money. The transition from salary-dependent to asset-rich doesn't happen overnight, but every step counts. Start by mapping out your debts and brainstorming potential assets that could cover each payment. Look for opportunities to convert your skills or interests into income-producing assets. Study how successful people in your field have built passive income streams. Your salary should be a tool for building assets, not just paying bills and debts. When you use your job income to acquire things that generate cash flow, you're following the wealthy's playbook. They understand that true financial freedom comes from having assets working for you, not you working for your debts. Your job might pay the bills today, but your assets will pay them tomorrow. This is the fundamental shift that separates those who stay in debt from those who build lasting wealth. Every dollar you invest in cash-flowing assets is a step toward breaking free from salary dependence and letting your money work harder than you do. Lesson 6. Buy time, not just things. Time is the one resource we can never get back, yet most people trade their precious hours for dollars without thinking twice. The wealthy understand a crucial secret. Debt can actually buy you time when used strategically. While others focus on acquiring material possessions, the rich use calculated debt to purchase something far more valuable: their freedom. Think about what happens when you buy a rental property using a bank loan. Yes, you're taking on debt, but that debt is buying you an asset that generates monthly income without requiring your direct time and labor. The tenants are essentially buying the property for you, while you're free to focus on other ventures or enjoy life. This is a prime example of using debt to buy time rather than just things. The same principle applies in business. When an entrepreneur takes out a loan to hire their first employee, they're not just buying help, they're buying back their own time. That borrowed money creates leverage that frees up the business owner to work on growth and strategy instead of getting stuck in day-to-day operations. The debt serves as an investment in creating more time freedom. Smart debt can even buy you time in your personal life. Consider someone who takes out a low-interest loan to invest in their education or start a side business. While others might view this as risky, the wealthy see it as an investment in future time freedom. The temporary debt load is worth it if it leads to higher income potential or passive revenue streams that eventually give you control over your schedule. However, not all debt buys time. Some types of debt actually steal it from you. Credit card debt from impulse purchases or loans for depreciating assets like cars often create time-draining obligations. You end up working extra hours just to make payments on things that don't generate value or free up your schedule. The rich are very careful to avoid these time-stealing debt traps. The key is to analyze any potential debt through the lens of time freedom. Will this debt ultimately give you more control over your hours and schedule, or will it force you to trade more of your time for money? The wealthy always choose debt instruments that create leverage and free up their most valuable resource, time. This mindset shift around debt requires looking beyond the simple dollars and cents. Instead of asking, "Can I afford the payments?" ask yourself, "Will this debt buy me more time freedom in the long run?" This is how the rich evaluate debt opportunities, and it's why they're able to build wealth while maintaining control over their schedules. Starting small is essential when using debt to buy time. Look for opportunities where a modest loan could free up your schedule through automation, delegation, or passive income generation. As you get comfortable with this strategy, you can gradually scale up to larger debt positions that create even more time freedom. The goal is to steadily reduce your reliance on trading time for money. The wealthy know that their net worth isn't just measured in dollars, it's measured in freedom. They see strategic debt as a tool for buying back their time and creating the flexibility to live life on their own terms. When you shift your perspective to view debt this way, you start making very different decisions about when and how to use leverage in your financial life. Lesson 7. Debt as a wealth accelerator. Think of debt like a rocket booster for your wealth journey. While most people crawl toward their financial goals, the rich zoom past by using smart debt to speed things up. This isn't about taking wild risks, it's about using calculated debt to grow your money faster than you could on your own. Let's say you have $50,000, 0 cents saved up. You could buy a small rental property outright, or you could use that money as a down payment on 5 $200,000 0 cents properties using mortgages. If the properties go up in value by 5% each year, which scenario makes you more money? With one property, you'd gain $10,000, 0 cents in equity. But with 5 properties, you'd gain $50,000, 0 cents, 5 times more wealth growth from the same starting point. This is how the wealthy think about debt. They see it as a tool to control more assets than they could afford on their own. When used right, debt lets you own things that put money in your pocket every month, while also growing in value over time. The key is to make sure the asset you're buying with debt makes more money than the debt costs you. Regular people often miss out on wealth-building chances because they're scared to use debt. They wait years to save up enough cash while prices keep rising. Meanwhile, others use smart debt to get in early and ride the wave up. Think about someone who bought a house with a mortgage in 2012 versus someone who waited until 2022 to save up the full amount. The person who used debt is way ahead. But this isn't just about real estate. Business owners use debt to buy equipment that makes them more money. Investors use margin accounts to control more stocks. The rich use debt to buy into private companies or start new ventures. The common thread is using borrowed money to control assets that grow in value or produce income. Here's a real example. Sarah started with $25,000, 0 cents saved. Instead of keeping it in the bank, she used it as a down payment on a small apartment building. The rent from tenants covered the mortgage and gave her extra cash each month. She used that cash for the down payment on another building. 5 years later, she owned 3 buildings worth over $1 million total. The debt helped her control much more property than she could have bought with cash. The trick is to stay safe while using debt to grow. Never borrow more than your assets can comfortably pay back. Keep some cash saved for emergencies. Make sure you're buying things that are likely to go up in value or produce steady income, and don't rush. Take time to learn about each investment before using debt to buy it. Your wealth acceleration plan starts with seeing debt differently. Look for chances to use borrowed money to buy assets that make you richer over time. Start small and learn as you go. Build a team of advisors who can help you spot good opportunities. Track your numbers carefully so you always know if your debt is helping or hurting you. The rich got that way by making money work harder for them. They used debt as a tool to own more, earn more, and grow more. When you understand how to use debt safely to speed up your wealth building, you stop working so hard for money and let leverage do more of the work. That's how you build wealth like the rich do, by making debt work for you instead of against you. Lesson 8. Credit is capital. Build it like a boss. Your credit score isn't just a number. It's the key that unlocks doors to wealth-building opportunities that most people never see. The rich understand that good credit is like having an extra bank account filled with potential. They treat their credit score as carefully as they would treat a precious asset, because that's exactly what it is. Think of your credit score as your financial reputation in number form. Just like a business builds its brand, you need to build your credit profile with intention and strategy. The wealthy don't leave their credit to chance. They actively shape it through careful planning and consistent actions. Every payment, every account, and every credit inquiry is a brushstroke on your financial masterpiece. The secret that wealthy people know is that credit isn't just about getting approved for loans, it's about getting the best terms possible. The difference between a good and excellent credit score can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in saved interest over your lifetime. That's money that could be invested, grown, and multiplied instead of being handed over to lenders. Rich people also understand that credit is a multiplier. With strong credit, you can control million-dollar properties with relatively small down payments. You can start businesses with borrowed capital instead of depleting your savings. You can take advantage of opportunities that others have to pass up because they don't have access to affordable financing. Building boss-level credit requires a systematic approach. Start by treating your credit cards like debit cards. Never charge what you can't pay off immediately. Keep your credit utilization low, ideally under 30% of your available credit. Don't close old credit accounts, as the length of your credit history matters. These aren't just good habits, they're wealth-building strategies. Smart credit building also means knowing when to apply for new credit. The wealthy time their credit applications strategically, often spacing them out to minimize the impact on their credit score. They know exactly when to ask for credit line increases and how to negotiate better terms with lenders based on their strong credit history. One often overlooked aspect of credit building is the power of relationship banking. Wealthy people cultivate relationships with multiple financial institutions, knowing that these connections can lead to better loan terms and exclusive opportunities. They don't just have accounts, they have financial partnerships that can be leveraged when needed. Your credit score is more than just a pathway to loans, it's a reflection of your financial discipline and trustworthiness. The rich know that maintaining excellent credit is about playing the long game. Every financial move you make should be viewed through the lens of how it will impact your credit profile. This isn't about living in fear of credit mistakes. It's about making strategic decisions that build your financial power over time. Credit building is a skill that can be learned and mastered. The wealthy didn't start with perfect credit. They developed it through intentional actions and smart choices. By treating your credit as capital, you're positioning yourself to access the same financial tools and opportunities that the rich use to build and maintain their wealth. Your credit score is your financial resume. Make sure it tells the story of someone who knows how to manage money like a boss. Lesson 9. Don't pay off debt. Outsmart it. Most people chase the dream of being debt-free, but the wealthy focus on being debt-smart. They know that rushing to pay off debt can actually make you poorer in the long run. Instead of throwing all your money at debt payments, you need to think strategically about how to make debt work in your favor. Let's look at a common scenario. Many people put extra money toward their mortgage to pay it off early. While this might feel good emotionally, it often means missing out on better opportunities. That extra money could be invested in assets that earn more than your mortgage interest rate. The rich understand that keeping a low-interest mortgage while investing in higher return opportunities is smarter than racing to pay off the house. The wealthy also use inflation to their advantage. When you borrow money today, you'll pay it back with tomorrow's dollars, which are worth less due to inflation. This means the real cost of your debt decreases over time. Smart investors actually celebrate inflation because it helps them pay off fixed-rate debts with cheaper money, while their assets typically increase in value. Another strategy the rich use is debt restructuring. Instead of rushing to pay off high-interest debt, they look for ways to move it to lower-interest options. They might use balance transfers, home equity lines of credit, or other financial tools to reduce interest rates. This frees up cash flow that can be used for investing rather than just debt elimination. The wealthy also understand the power of tax-deductible debt. They focus on debt that offers tax advantages, like mortgage interest or business loans. This effectively reduces the real cost of borrowing. While others scramble to pay off their mortgage, the rich might keep it precisely because of the tax benefits it provides. Smart debt management also means knowing when not to pay off debt. If you have a loan at 4% interest, but can invest and earn 8%, paying off the debt early means losing out on potential earnings. The rich do the math and keep low-risk debt when it allows them to pursue higher return opportunities. One powerful strategy is using debt as a hedge against economic uncertainty. By locking in fixed-rate debt on assets that produce income, the wealthy protect themselves against inflation and economic changes. The debt becomes a tool for wealth preservation, not just wealth creation. The rich also understand that some debts are better left to others to pay. When they buy investment properties or businesses, they often structure deals so that tenants or business operations pay the debt. This way, other people's activities pay off the loan, while the wealthy person owns the appreciating asset. Outsmarting debt isn't about avoiding it, it's about using it strategically. The rich aren't afraid to take on debt when it helps them acquire assets that increase their wealth. They focus on the return on investment rather than the emotional satisfaction of being debt-free. By shifting your mindset from debt elimination to debt optimization, you can start using debt the way the wealthy do, as a tool for building lasting wealth. Lesson 10. Investing with Borrowed Brilliance. Rich people understand that the smartest way to invest isn't always with their own money. They tap into the power of borrowed brilliance, using the expertise, resources, and capital of others to boost their success. This approach to investing goes beyond just borrowing money. It's about leveraging the complete wealth-building ecosystem around you. Think of borrowed brilliance like a master chef using other people's kitchens, ingredients, and even recipes to create amazing meals. The chef brings the vision and expertise, while others provide the tools and resources. In investing, you can do the same thing. You might use a bank's money, a partner's market knowledge, or an expert's proven system to build wealth faster than you could alone. Smart investors know they don't need to be experts in everything. Instead, they build teams and partnerships that fill in their knowledge gaps. Maybe you're great at finding real estate deals but don't know much about renovation. Rather than spending years learning construction, you can partner with experienced contractors who already have that expertise. You bring the deals, they bring the know-how, and together you create value neither could achieve alone. The internet has made borrowed brilliance easier than ever. You can join investment groups, learn from online mentors, and connect with potential partners worldwide. Successful investors often share their strategies through courses, books, and coaching programs. While some might see paying for this knowledge as an expense, the rich see it as an investment in borrowed brilliance that can save years of costly trial and error. Many wealthy people use investment advisors, not because they can't manage their own money, but because they understand the value of borrowed brilliance. These professionals spend their entire careers studying markets, analyzing trends, and finding opportunities. By tapping into their expertise, investors can make smarter decisions and avoid common pitfalls. Borrowed brilliance also comes in the form of other people's experiences. Every rich person knows someone who lost money in a bad deal or missed a great opportunity. They learn from these stories, adapting their strategies based on others' successes and failures. This kind of learning is free but invaluable. It's like getting the answers to the test before taking it. The beauty of borrowed brilliance is that it compounds over time. As you build relationships and learn from others, you develop your own expertise. Soon you become the person others seek out for borrowed brilliance. This creates a network effect where everyone benefits from shared knowledge and resources. Borrowed brilliance isn't about copying others blindly. It's about taking proven principles and adapting them to your situation. The rich study what works, understand why it works, and then apply those lessons in ways that fit their goals and circumstances. They know that success leaves clues, and following those clues while adding their own insights leads to greater wealth. Using borrowed brilliance also means staying humble and always being ready to learn. The moment you think you know everything is the moment you stop growing. Rich investors constantly seek new perspectives, even in areas where they're already successful. They know markets change, strategies evolve, and there's always something new to learn from others. Those who build lasting wealth understand that borrowed brilliance is a two-way street. While they're learning from others, they're also sharing their own insights and experiences. This creates a community of success where everyone grows together, making the pie bigger for everyone involved. It's not just about taking, it's about becoming part of a wealth-building ecosystem where everyone contributes and benefits. Lesson 11. Emotional discipline beats financial desperation. Money moves markets, but emotions move money. When it comes to using debt like the wealthy do, your ability to stay calm and clear-headed matters more than any financial strategy. The rich understand that emotional discipline creates the foundation for smart borrowing and investing. Think about the last time you made a money decision while feeling scared or desperate. Maybe you took out a high-interest loan to cover an emergency, or perhaps you sold an investment too early because the market dipped. These choices often come from letting emotions run the show instead of staying disciplined with your wealth-building plan. The wealthy develop emotional discipline through practice and awareness. They know that fear, greed, and desperation lead to costly mistakes. Instead of acting on panic, they pause to evaluate situations objectively. When markets crash, they see opportunities while others run away. When exciting deals appear, they carefully analyze the numbers rather than jumping in from pure excitement. Building emotional discipline starts with knowing your triggers. Some people overspend when they feel sad. Others avoid good investment opportunities because past losses made them fearful. By identifying what sets off your money emotions, you can catch yourself before making choices that hurt your wealth goals. The rich regularly check in with their emotional state before making financial moves. Creating distance between feelings and actions helps you use debt wisely. When you feel the urge to take on new debt, wait 24 hours before deciding. This cooling off period lets you think clearly about whether the debt serves your long-term wealth strategy. The wealthy often have advisors who help them maintain emotional distance from their money choices. Your social circle impacts your emotional discipline around money and debt. If you spend time with people who panic about market changes or judge all debt as bad, their attitudes will affect you. The rich surround themselves with others who stay calm during financial storms and understand strategic borrowing. Find friends and mentors who model the emotional control you want to develop. Practice makes emotional discipline stronger. Start with small money decisions and notice how feelings try to drive your choices. Maybe you feel pressured to keep up with friends' spending or worried about missing out on an investment. Instead of reacting, pause and evaluate the situation logically. Over time, this practice builds the emotional muscle needed for bigger financial moves. The wealthy also know that preparation prevents desperation. They build emergency funds and maintain multiple income streams, so they never make decisions from a place of panic. When you have backup plans and safety nets, you can approach debt and investing opportunities with a clear head. This strategic thinking beats emotional reactions every time. Emotional discipline doesn't mean ignoring your feelings about money. It means understanding those feelings without letting them control your choices. The rich feel fear, excitement, and worry just like everyone else. The difference is they've learned to act based on strategy rather than emotion when it comes to building wealth through debt and investing. Your journey to using debt like the wealthy requires strengthening your emotional discipline daily. Notice your money triggers, create space between feelings and actions, surround yourself with calm minds, and prepare for challenges ahead. With practice, you'll develop the emotional control that lets you use debt as a powerful tool for building wealth, rather than letting fear or desperation drive your financial future. Lesson 12. Think like a bank, not a borrower. Banks have mastered the art of making money work for them, and it's time you learn to think like they do. When you walk into a bank seeking a loan, you're actually giving them an opportunity to create wealth. They don't view lending as risky, they see it as their path to profit. This chapter will transform how you view the banking system and show you how to adopt their mindset. Consider what happens when a bank lends money. They take deposits from customers, paying tiny interest rates, then lend that same money out at much higher rates. The spread between what they pay and what they earn is pure profit. But here's the real magic. They can lend out several times more than they actually have on deposit. Through fractional reserve banking, they're essentially creating money out of thin air and earning interest on it. You can apply this same principle in your own life. Instead of always being the borrower, look for opportunities to be the lender. This might mean private lending, peer-to-personal financing, or investing in debt instruments. When you think like a bank, you start seeing opportunities to earn interest rather than pay it. Banks also understand something crucial about risk management. They never lend without collateral. They diversify their lending across many borrowers, and they carefully assess the ability to repay. These aren't just banking principles, they're wealth-bringing strategies you can use. When you invest or lend, make sure you have security, spread your risk, and know exactly how you'll get paid back. The banking mindset also means understanding the power of compound interest from the earning side, not just the paying side. Banks don't just collect interest, they reinvest it to earn even more. This is how wealth grows exponentially. Start thinking about how you can create streams of interest income that you can reinvest for greater returns. Another key banking principle is leverage. Banks don't just use their own money. They use depositors' money, federal funds, and various financial instruments to multiply their lending power. You can do the same by using smart leverage to control more assets than you could with just your own capital. This might mean using home equity lines of credit, investment property loans, or business financing to expand your wealth-building activities. Think about how banks stay emotionally detached from lending decisions. They use clear criteria, run the numbers, and make decisions based on data, not feelings. This is crucial for building wealth through debt. You need to remove emotion from your financial decisions and look at opportunities objectively, just like a bank would. Banks also focus on cash flow rather than just asset values. They want to know that their loans will generate regular payments, not just that the collateral has value. Apply this thinking to your investments. Look for opportunities that generate steady cash flow, not just the potential for appreciation. The banking mindset extends to how you structure deals. Banks create win-win situations where both they and the borrower can profit. They set clear terms, establish proper documentation, and create systems to manage their lending. You can do the same in your investments and business dealings. Create clear agreements, maintain proper records, and develop systems to manage your wealth-building activities. Banks play the long game. They don't try to get rich quick. They build wealth steadily over time through consistent application of proven principles. Adopt this patient, systematic approach to building your own wealth. Focus on creating sustainable income streams that grow steadily rather than chasing quick profits. By thinking like a bank instead of a borrower, you shift from being a consumer of financial products to a provider of financial solutions. This mindset shift is what separates those who remain in debt from those who build lasting wealth through strategic use of debt and leverage.